Yo, 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 welcome to the Blue Lounge, welcome to the stream. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic evening. Welcome to everyone who's just joining. I've changed the intro, I hope you guys like it. I went back to the old song, old music. Not a lot of you were happy with the faster beat, so going back to the old school beat. They say if it's not broke, don't fix it. So yeah, I should not have played about with it in the first place. Listen, people, I've got a big stream for you tonight. We're going to be talking Chelsea transfers. We're going to be addressing all of the transfers that have taken place, that are currently ongoing. The negotiations are ongoing. What's been happening and how is this transfer window going to conclude? And I have with me Rob Pratley from the Chelsea socials. Rob, how are you? Welcome to the stream.
I'm good, thank you, mate. And yourself?
I'm good. This is the second time I've had you on my channel, so it's good to have you back, man.
Yeah, no, pleasure to always be back. And apologies it's taken so long. Again, it's been a busy sort of summer for me on a personal level, and I would have liked to have made more appearances.
Well, we'll definitely have you back on in the near future. And before we get into the transfer market and transfer window and all of the stories that we're going to be discussing, you want to promote something? So I've actually pinned it in the comment. In the chat, the pinned comment. So people are coming in, they're seeing that pinned comment, but they're not quite understanding what it is. So I want you to explain to people what that is all about.
Sure. So the Chelsea social and our women's branch, the Chelsea Women's Social, have been nominated for the finalist list for the Football Content Awards this year as Best in Women's Football for Small Business. We're a team of about 13 of us that sort of work as volunteers, but yeah, we've grown sort of a massive sort of following. Got a lot of engagement with players, staff, sort of covered all the matches. And yeah, it's just a big thing to sort of be nominated. But we now hoping to try and win. So the pinned comment there of I'm voting for at the CSW social in at FCAs for hashtag Best in Women's Football. If anyone, is happy to, would love you to sort of tweet that out, because every time that's tweeted, that's a vote for us. And it's a combination of judges, panels, and also, the audience voting. But we're up against some really amazing and bigger sort of women's pages, and sort of we're the underdogs, but we know how strong the Chelsea family is on the men and women's side. And there's the fact that, hopefully we can get those additional votes and sort of maybe pull off, I think, a bit of a shock. But it's so good to just be nominated with all these great creators. So, I advise you just go on the FCAs anyway, look at the other names that have been nominated and vote for people who you think deserve it, because so many people do it voluntarily and do it for, very little and just do it for the love of it. And it's a good chance to sort of give them something back.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Lads, copy, paste it, go to Twitter, just spam it, give it out there, get as many people interacting with it as possible, tweet, retweet. And if you see it being tweeted by one of your friends, retweet it, get it out there, give it to as many people as possible. People, I want to say big up to everybody in the chat. Thank you all for coming in. We'll be talking about this. We'll be addressing all of these comments. Big up to everyone, and thank you all for being here. People, this stream is going to be divided into two sections, two-ish, might be three sections, but the first part is going to be me talking to Rob about the latest transfer developments. And for those of you who may not be aware, Rob is also a journalist, so he has some insight to a lot of these stories that you and I may not have. So hopefully he can share with us as much information as possible. After we have that discussion, we're going to also open it up to this special panel that I have of people to jump in and also have a discussion with Rob. And then after that, we'll take questions from you guys in the chat and just play it by ear, I guess. So Bobby's in the chat. Bobby, I know you had a good conversation with Rob last time he was here. So we'll give you an opportunity to jump on later on in the stream. Rob, before we talk about the stories that are making the headlines today, and that's really Koundé, Zouma, and Saul. I want to reflect. I want to reflect about what happened earlier in this transfer window in regards to the Erling Haaland and Lukaku situation, because Chelsea needed a striker. Yeah. Chelsea were going to get their elite striker, whether it's going to be Haaland, Lukaku, those other names mentioned as well. But the fan base is still not clear. Still not sure exactly what happened in regards to Erling Haaland because, you know, there was a lot of hype, there was a lot of misinformation, there was a lot of talk about Chelsea bidding, and then it was said that Chelsea didn't bid. You had big journalists like Fabrizio Romano coming in and contradicting other journalists. So from your perspective, I wanted to tell us what you saw happen, what you saw in regards to what Chelsea did into getting Erling Haaland, and then how they switched to Romelu Lukaku. So if you could give us an insight to that, it would be really appreciated.
Yeah, so I mean, the last time I was on this stream, you'll remember I discussed sort of the three big names of being Haaland, Lukaku, and Harry Kane, and I said at the time that I thought Erling Haaland wouldn't happen, Lukaku would, and Harry Kane would end up at City. And, you know, I'll give myself a quiet sort of pat on the back for that one. But quite simply, it starts earlier in the year, in just after the Champions League final. Federico Pastorello was at the Champions League final with Chelsea, and he himself is a Chelsea fan. And also Lukaku is a Chelsea fan as well regarded. Chelsea asked if there was an opportunity to make a deal happen. And Fede Pastorello said, you know, I honestly don't know, but I think the player would be up for it. Inter are in a difficult situation. Let's wait and see. Obviously, then we have the situation that was brewing last time I sort of did one, which was Conte leaving, and it became very clear that they needed to raise money in a way, and looked like Achraf Hakimi was going to be sort of the sole main sale. And I'll hold my hands up. I thought Chelsea were probably going to close that at the time, and I did say that. In the end, PSG came in and offered, you know, a very, very high wage for a very, very good player, offered a better sort of financial package up front. Chelsea were keen to try and incorporate players into the deal, which muddied the water a little bit because of Inter's financial situation, and that made it difficult. So we then come on to sort of the Erling Haaland situation. As far as I understood, the Erling Haaland situation remained the same throughout, in that Dortmund had a price and it was extraordinary high. Forget the numbers that were being quoted in the media, it was a lot higher than that. And people forgot to factor in there was huge agent fees involved in it. You know, Alfie Hall and Mino Raiola wanting sort of, you know, significant numbers of millions, a very large wage for the player. And Dortmund weren't going to sell if there was, you know, the crazy offer that Fabrizio Romano kept mentioning. Now, did Chelsea ever make formal offers for the player? No. Were there discussions? Yes. There were discussions about various things. There were discussions about how it could be used. I'll say, for example, a third party recommended to Dortmund they should ask about Timo Werner in a deal and trying to incorporate him. That never happened. The closest Chelsea ever really got to offering something was they offered something akin to what they ended up paying for, just under for what they ended up paying for Lukaku up front. And they offered quite a lot of extensions with that. So it came to probably about 120 million, I think. Dortmund were never going to accept this. So as a result of that, while that was all going on in the background, Fede Pastorello was talking to Lukaku and saying, you know, if an offer came in, would you be interested in it? And sort of working, you know, as agents do. And it became quite clear that Inter Milan needed more money. Financially, they were in a poor situation. And that's why Spurs made their first bid for Lautaro Martinez. And a deal was agreed for Lautaro from Inter's perspective because they needed the cash. Chelsea then came in and offered a significantly larger amount of money for a player who's several years older, and Inter had a decision to make. And then Lukaku came in with a hammer blow and said, I want to go to Chelsea. And as soon as that happened, that meant that deal was always going to happen. It also gave Suning a way to save face, because Suning as owners are really, really unpopular at the moment in Dortmund. In Inter Milan. And at the same time, Dortmund's owners were pretty steadfast that the fee wasn't going to change. And even though I saw people saying, you know, oh, Lukaku's a smokescreen for a Haaland bid and whatever, no. As soon as the Lukaku deal started to happen, it was, you know, going to be a case. It was Lukaku was going to come in. In terms of how long it took to sort out the deal, it was due to Inter dragging their feet because of paperwork at their end with Edin Dzeko. There was never any issues in that regard. I did laugh at the number of people that claimed he was being announced at XYZ time when, you know, deals weren't completely done. The player wasn't even in the country. All the people sort of looking at planes and tracking planes on that afternoon when it clearly wasn't, you know, the move wasn't going to happen. But obviously the deal is now done. Chelsea have that number 9. Erling Haaland, from what I understand from someone who's quite good, is there's a verbal agreement to go to Real Madrid next summer. Verbal agreements, as we've seen with Harry Kane, mean very little. So, you know, watch this space. I think he probably still will be looking to go to Spain. And I personally still won't rule out if they can sort out their finances. Barcelona trying to make a bid because they'll want the new golden boy. Because I still think Kylian Mbappe, and I've said to a lot of my friends that there'll be a crazy August coming. And what I'm calling crazy August is that Lukaku was on the move, Harry Kane I think will still be on the move. Jack Grealish has been on the move, and Mbappe will still happen. Ronaldo will move before the end of the window. So it's going to be a real crazy August.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that's some good insight. That's some good insight. And to be honest, what you've just said was in a lot of the stories, but it was muddied because there was so much contradictions and so much conflicting messages coming out. Why did Chelsea not offer more? Is it because of the Mino Raiola and Alfie Haaland? Is that what really kind of?
It's a combination of that and also the fact the fee up front. Like Dortmund want the fee up front and wanted the fee this summer up front because if they knew that if a team knew Haaland was coming in, they know they've already got a pot of money due to Jadon Sancho, and that was used to sort of arrest the slump they had due to COVID because financially Dortmund were in a really poor position coming into this summer. And obviously, if you know a team has a large amount of money, as Inter Milan are now starting to find out now they've got Lukaku money in, A, you have to balance the books, and B, also teams suddenly rank up, the price increases by X amount. And this is what, Manchester City, if I knew Harry Kane, they thought the Harry Kane deal was going to get a discount because Kane was going to kick up a fuss and try and leave. Daniel Levy is being steadfast and he's saying, stuff the gentleman's agreement that may or may not have happened. I want my 150 million. I want it, in a very specific way. There are players that Spurs would like who have rejected the move on their side. But coming back to Erling Haaland, it was a case of the money needed to be paid up front. It needed to be paid in a specific way. And quite frankly, it was never going to happen. Whereas with the Lukaku deal, there is a significant sum has been paid up front, but there are amounts that are going to be paid ongoing, sort of in a more palatable way, I suppose. And I think it's also the fact that there was a feeling around the club that Erling Haaland, if he did come in, there would be, Mino Raiola would ensure there was a clause in place that if things went wrong, then he would be out there in a couple of years for a significantly low fee.
Yeah. We like to have the deals catered towards our club, especially when we're paying such a large amount of money. But with Mino Raiola, he wants the deal to be catered towards his client, which is always going to be a little bit of a problem. We need to have a balance, and Mino Raiola doesn't seem to want to, hit that balance. So, all in all, I mean, I think the fact that Lukaku did come through that door and did come to Chelsea, looking at the way the fan base has reacted towards him, and looking at the impact that he's had so far in his second debut match. Yeah. I think it's been a positive impact, and I think Lukaku will strengthen the bond that we have built in our dressing room within our players and our team. Maybe Erling Haaland may have had a different impact on that. I wanna move on to the defensive situation, the defenders at Chelsea, because there is a story going around that West Ham are very close to agreeing terms with Zouma, and there's a fee agreed for that. And Koundé, personal terms have been agreed for quite some time, but the deal seems to be coming to a conclusion. Can you give us a little bit of an insight in regards to those two stories?
So for the Kurt Zouma situation, it was quite clear earlier in this summer that Chelsea wanted to bring a centre-back, and Thomas Tuchel gave a list of players to the board and said, I want one of these three, players brought in. Those players were Jules Koundé, Marquinhos at Paris Saint-Germain, and Nicolas Zola. I'm not going to say that's in order of, preference. Chelsea did also like Raphael Varane, but Varane, it quickly became clear it wasn't going to happen because of wages. Let's start with Nicolas Zola. Zola was always seen as being, the cheaper sort of backup option. If Chelsea maybe did pursue Erling Haaland and pay that amount of money, it was felt that they could bring Zola in for a cheaper sort of, fee compared to some of the other names. More of a sort of stopgap solution in a way. Marquinhos is sort of, I suppose, the premium solution that, he's considered one of PSG's 5 untouchables. I can't remember the other names, but he's one of the main sort of players. He's their captain. And although Thomas Tuchel does really like the player, and I think if he was in charge next summer, it'll be likely Chelsea will make a bid because they'll want another centre-back next summer due to the way situations were developing. It became very clear that something probably wasn't going to happen this window, and if it did, it would be extremely, extremely expensive. So then we come on to Jules Koundé. Jules Koundé is someone the club have liked for a long time. They liked him when he was at Bordeaux and did consider making an offer then and sort of trying to loan him out. He wasn't keen on that. So he's ended up sort of at Sevilla. And a couple of weeks ago, just before that, Tottenham made a bid because Sevilla had financial difficulties and did agree a deal in principle to swap Davinson Sanchez and an amount of cash, I think about 25 million, for Jules Koundé. Jules Koundé rejected Tottenham because, he had sense and knew that, they're going nowhere. But it became very clear at that point that Jules Koundé was available on the market and that Sevilla are one of those sides that will entertain swap deals. So Chelsea made an offer to them involving Kurt Zouma in cash. That was rejected, but then a further cash offer was made that would have been accepted. However, it became clear Kurt Zouma isn't keen on the move to Spain for a number of reasons. He's well settled in London. He's been in London for a significant amount of time. He prefers the Premier League. So that meant Premier League clubs are going to start looking at him. Leicester did make a bit of a tentative inquiry about taking him on loan for the season after the injury to Wes Fofana. That was, shot down pretty quickly. Everton do retain an element of interest, although they need to move centre-backs on first. So West Ham, as a result, have come into the picture. And West Ham suits the player because it means he can stay in London where his family are very settled and he is very settled. West Ham themselves don't have a huge amount of centre-back options, so he's someone who would come in, you imagine, would be sort of first or second choice quite quickly. And, of course, they've got, Europa League football this season, so he gets, the European game. So Chelsea and West Ham have been playing cat and mouse for a bit. West Ham made one offer that was particularly low, and Chelsea sort of, nearly threatened to end negotiations completely there. Instead, it's sort of now developed to a point where there is a broad agreement on a fee of around 30 million euros, about 28 million pounds. And now it comes down to whether the player and the agent and the club can agree terms. Now, on the latest I've heard, it sounds like it's been difficult negotiations, but it is slowly edging towards a conclusion because Zouma's own demands are dropping and West Ham are slowly increasing the bar. They are wary that with their wages, Declan Rice has already rejected 2 contracts because of what he considers to be derisory offers. And their highest paid player is Andrei Yarmolenko, and they're not keen on bringing too many players in to rock the boat in terms of big wages, which has also affected some of their transfer business this summer. So I think this one probably should happen as long as all sides are realistic. I think Zouma knows that he doesn't really have a long-term future at Chelsea now, and effectively, Koundé is the replacement in terms of centre-back. He isn't exactly the same role and profile, but he is the replacement option. So in terms of Jules Koundé to Chelsea, Sevilla want the cash paid, for a release clause. I think it's 70 million euros before it jumps up to 90. The player has made it clear that if Chelsea make what he considers to be an acceptable offer, he would like the move, and he would like the move to happen. He's not going to force it. I think probably this is the case of one where once Zouma is out the door, Chelsea will be a lot happier to pay the 55 million that will make a deal happen. And personal terms, as we said, should be sort of a formality. So it would be disappointing, I think, now if the club couldn't get this one over the line.
Interesting. Before I address the Chalobah situation, I want to ask you about the Christensen and the Rudiger contract negotiations. Are we closer to seeing that resolved and the last signing?
So, from what I understand, Andreas Christensen, I'll start with him. Christensen sort of had a bit of a renaissance in the last 6 months and obviously become a big part of it. He's been playing regularly, and he himself is very happy at Chelsea. He sees himself, as part of the Chelsea project, and I think that's probably the easy one to do. I think that's one that could get signed in the next couple of weeks. There's a contract on the table that the player sounds happy with, so that one sounds fine. Rudiger's a little bit more difficult because Rudiger is aware he's coming up into his absolute peak. He, knows the next one will probably be his last big contract as per se, and he will probably want assurances for several years on it, which Chelsea notoriously, when players hit the age of 30, don't tend to offer more than 1 year deals. And so he's looking for one before that period in order to get it done. He's obviously also out of contract next summer. Now, from what I understand, there's been some positive movement in this regard in the last couple of weeks, and Thomas Tuchel is keen on sort of getting it signed up. However, Rudiger's own sort of party is sort of saying, look, hang back because next summer other clubs may sort out their finances. It may not be quite the same market as we have this year. And so as a result of that, it may, be a case that you can pick and choose sort of, for a plethora of free agents. Now, previously Barcelona have held an interest in the player. Bayern Munich, like Antonio Rudiger. I wouldn't rule out Paris Saint-Germain, throwing a contract because, they throw contracts at everyone. I think Rudiger, if I was to say, is less likely to sign, but the Thomas Tuchel factor may sort of swing it. Again, he will be aware that this is his last sort of big contract. So the club, I think the club at the moment are planning on the assumption that Rudiger will not sign, based on what I've been told, because of where they're looking for plans next summer. Although, as has been said, there'll be a lot of change in the centre-back position anyway in the next 12 months.
Sure. Before we talk about Chalobah, I want to see how many likes have we had on the stream. 49 likes. Brilliant. Lads, let's continue hitting that like button, smashing that like button. And before we talk about Chalobah, Rob, can you remind the new guys who have just joined the stream in regards to the CFC Women's Socials vote? Can you just give them a little bit of an insight to the new guys who have just jumped in?
Sure, yeah. So for anyone joining the stream, the Chelsea Women's Social have been nominated for a FCA award, which is really exciting. And if you'd like to vote for us, if you sort of tweet the pinned sort of comment out on your Twitter, it'll be really, really fantastic. Every time it's done, it's a vote. And yeah, we just sort of love to sort of win and show the world what a great community Chelsea have, not only on the men's side, but on the women's side as well.
Fantastic. Guys, show your support. All you've got to do is copy, paste it on Twitter, retweet it as many times as you can, get as many people to see it. Every time it's retweeted, every time it's tweeted, a vote is registered. So support the women's socials. Rob, Chalobah, threw a spanner in the works, man. The whole plan was to get Koundé in to sell Zouma, and things was, we're going down that road now. Chalobah could come in and he has come in. Tuchel likes him. What impact is he going to have on the season in regards to playing time, in regards to selection? How do you see Chalobah's role developing in this season?
Yeah, again, this is one, I'll sort of pat myself on the back, because last time we sort of did our stream, I said that if there was one player who might, break through and might surprise everyone, it would be Trevor Chalobah. And I said that when the West Brom rumours were happening, and said, that didn't sound founded. Tuchel wanted to take a really good look at him in pre-season because he saw him last year in France at Lorient and knew what a good player had developed there. And obviously he impressed in pre-season, obviously had that great sort of debut, and there's now a 5-year contract on the table. Now, once that's signed, I think there will be a couple of options. Number one is sticking around for the season, which I think at the moment is the preferred option. Now, if the right offer was made to take him on loan, I think for the year, I think the club might consider it purely to get him regular minutes at a top club for the year, and on the basis they know the 5-year contract's on the table. For instance, I've said to someone, hypothetically, I think if Sevilla asked to take Trevor Chalobah on loan for the year to replace Jules Koundé, I think the club would accept it because there's a clear, solution. It's bringing a player in for one player, and I think it also means he gets the regular minutes. However, I would like him to stay, and I think that's because Azpilicueta looks like most likely to be the right wing-back option. I think he's more secured sort of in there than Callum Hudson-Odoi. Obviously, Reece James is going to be first choice, but then that means that if we have an injury spell at centre-back, and I think Thiago Silva's fitness at his age, you have to, consider that could be a possibility. You need options to be able to slot in there, and Trevor Chalobah has shown an ability in pre-season to play all the way across the back three. He can also play in midfield if necessary, and I know we're sort of going to be discussing midfielders as well, but he is also an option in that position. I think he adds something a bit different because of his height and his sort of composure from the centre-back role. He's a really good passer, sort of progressive passer. And I think more importantly, he could also play in a 4-4-2 or sort of a 4 at the back formation, which is something I don't think many of the other centre-backs can do.
Yeah, fair point. It's an interesting development in regards to the defence. From players coming in to players cementing their place in the team. Definitely an interesting one, especially with Christensen showing good form, Rudiger showing good form, Chalobah. We need to see what Thiago has in the tank this season. He's going to be an interesting one to look at. Before we talk about the outgoings and the potential outgoings, I want to talk about the last potential incoming, and that is Soulé on a loan. What can you tell us about this deal? Because this deal, one day it's the talk of the papers, and the next thing no one's talking about it. Where are we in regards to this deal? I mean, what's happening?
Okay, so before I talk about Saul, I ought to talk about the other aspect of it, which is Aurélien Tchouaméni. Now,
Yeah.
the story of Aurélien Tchouaméni has gone a bit cold in the last few days. However, Chelsea are waiting to see what happens with AS Monaco in the Champions League. Because if AS Monaco do get knocked out, then their financial picture changes quite significantly, and there's probably a chance a deal can be done. The other thing is also Tchouaméni has the same agent as Jules Koundé, and that can also greatly speed up negotiations. The two players also get on very, very well. They are best friends. I think Koundé was at Bordeaux at the same time Tchouaméni was on loan there, and I think they roomed together. So they are really, really good friends. So I won't rule out at the moment a Chelsea offer coming in for Aurélien Tchouaméni if they do end up at the Champions League. I also still, and again, I'm reticent to say this, but I still think there might be a crazy sort of bid made for Declan Rice. And this purely more on instinct, but I know West Ham want money and want, are looking for ways they can sort of their finances. I think if the right bid is put on the table, it becomes difficult for them in the final days of the window, because I think then that's the chance where if the player was going to sort of force a move, he's most likely to do it. Will West Ham still challenge it? I think so. So I think that's less likely. That's more sort of hypothetical. So then we come on to Saul Niguez. So Saul Niguez is an interesting situation in that the Atletico firstly just want him off the books because of his significant wages. He's on really, really high wages, and it's got a danger of upsetting the apple cart. So as a result of that, and his form has also been a bit patchy over the last 18 months. So as a result of that, he's been offered around to various clubs. Bayern Munich tried to sign him earlier in the summer. They had a broad agreement on the fee, however, saw the wages and balked because they've already got their own issue brewing with wages. In Joshua Kimmich has, just taken a wage increase today, but Goretzka wants significant wage increases. Lewandowski wants a wage increase. There is a bit of an issue brewing behind the scenes at Bayern for that. So then there are other clubs that might become involved in the equation. Liverpool really like Saul, but they can't afford him. They don't have the money for the transfer deal and can't afford the wages. Manchester United, again, really like the player and could afford the wages, but he doesn't see a spot in the team at the moment unless Pogba's moved on, Donny van de Beek moves on. Donny van de Beek has asked his agent to find himself a solution in the next couple of days, but I think it'll be a loan deal. As I said, earlier in the year, that was a ridiculous deal at the time. It was a deal that was made purely, to satisfy fans who were annoyed at Sancho not coming last summer, and it's wrecked the player's career effectively in the midst of, what should be him coming towards his peak. He's now got to basically completely reset. So with Saul Niguez, he's been offered to Chelsea and a number of clubs on permanent deals and also more recently on loan. And the suggestion is that Atleti would like a loan with an obligation. Chelsea are trying to talk about a loan to buy. There is sort of, an agreement would need to be found over the wages. But certainly Saul has made it clear that he likes the idea of playing for Chelsea and he likes the idea of coming to London. Again, I think the fact that there is a Spanish contingent in the squad will probably sort of help. And he is someone who the club have certainly liked for a long time. Interest has perhaps waned a little bit during Frank Lampard's era when he looked at different midfielders, but certainly Thomas Tuchel does really like the player. Before that, Maurizio Sarri really liked the player, and even back to Antonio Conte, he really likes Saul Niguez. So I think a deal can be done. It's just more. I think Chelsea would like to try and get a deal done for Tchouaméni if possible, but if not, I think they will try and wrap up a Saul Niguez loan deal. I don't think it'll be a permanent this window. I think it will be something on loan, and I think it will be interesting to see if it's an obligation or an option. But certainly, I think if he does come in, it does then in 12 months' time mean Kovačić will probably move on.
You know what, Rob? I just remembered something about you from the last stream. When I asked your question, you give so much information that I have nothing to follow up on. I was gonna ask you which one, Tchouaméni or Saul. You broke it up so well that it's good. It's good. The people in the chat are appreciating it as well. I'm getting some good feedback here. Listen, people, make sure you hit that like button. I want to get as many people in to hear what Rob has to say. Listen, Rob, before we talk about the players that are still in the club on the way out, Chelsea have streamlined a lot in regards to the squad, in regards to the number of players in and around our first team squad. Zappa Costa is apparently going, and others. What has been the main driving factor behind the streamlining? Is it Tuchel wanting to raise money for a striker, Or is it because Chelsea are trying to change their methodology in regards to squad size and streamlining it?
A bit of both. It's partly due to the fact that Tuchel made it clear he wants to deal with a smaller squad, and he didn't, want this ludicrous size of squad. He worked with a small squad when he was at Paris Saint-Germain, and made it quite clear that he wants to keep players. He wants a small squad of players bolstered by players coming up from the under-23s and under-18s when it's needed. But he wants to work around that sort of call. And then there's also the loan rules that are coming in next season that mean that, it's no longer going to be a case that you can have a huge number of players out on loan. For those that aren't aware, it means that you can only have 8 players, I think it is, over the age of 22 on loan internationally, and you can only have a set number of domestic loans as well. So it's designed to try and stop, the stockpiling that we've seen in recent years. I think there's also an acceptance with some of the players that, for example, the likes of Zappacosta, who had a good loan spell last year in Italy, needs to move on for his own career because he's coming into his own prime now, and he needs to be allowed to enjoy it and doesn't need to be shackled. The same for Timo Bakayoko. He needs to be allowed to move on to sort of his career. With some of the younger lads like Pert Harris, Lewis Bate, they need to be allowed to have their own pathways in football. And if they don't see it at Chelsea, that's fine. Ultimately, they've done a lot for the youth sides. We say thank you and good luck. I think, you have to just take that approach. Obviously, we've seen with some players like Abraham, Livramento, Mark Gurhey, the club have put in buyback clauses and, first options because they know there's potential there. And certainly, I think with Tino Livramento, I can say that Chelsea really wanted, the Brighton offered a much larger fee up front than Southampton for Tino Livramento. Chelsea rejected the deal because they wanted the buyback clause, because they know the player's potential. And Livramento himself made it quite clear he wanted the option of the buyback because I think, he sees himself as a Chelsea player in a couple of years' time. But, yeah, I think it's a combination of Tuchel wants a smaller squad, the club needed to sort of it, and also getting these players off, as we said, has helped balance the books, and that is increasingly important.
Yeah, no, definitely. Barkley, Drinkwater, Loftus-Cheek. Staying, going. What's the situation regarding these 3 lads?
So Ross Barkley, Thomas Tuchel's made it clear he doesn't see him as part of the first team squad. Privately, I know people who behind the scenes have said Barkley has basically wasted his career by a ridiculous attitude to partying, not being a committed professional. When Frank Lampard was in, he sort of took him under his wing to try and encourage him to do that, and that obviously, didn't really work. He went out last season. Obviously, they were hoping for a permanent move to Aston Villa. That didn't happen. Chelsea just want a shot of him. I think West Ham might come in for a loan deal, especially if they can't get Jesse Lingard back in. The player, knows David Moyes. David Moyes does still like him. Chelsea want a shot of him and have made it clear they don't consider him part of the first team squad. Same with Danny Drinkwater. I think maybe a championship club might come in for a loan, or alternatively, Chelsea may just cancel the contract. Ruben Loftus-Cheek's an interesting one because Chelsea sent him back out on loan last year to sort of get his fitness back. But the reports that came back were mixed as to whether, they thought he got back to full speed, and it's hard to see where he fits in Tuchel's 3-4-3 because I don't think he can play the double 6, and I also don't think he can play along the front 3. There is still a possibility, I think, that he might end up on loan in Italy again, or possibly even permanently to Lazio, because Maurizio Sarri does really like the player and has made it really, really clear. But there is also a couple of German clubs, Eintracht Frankfurt and one other German side, are keen on him and might look for, some sort of loan deal. I think it's just one of those cases where, because of the injury and the things that have happened in between, it seems like an aeon ago Loftus-Cheek got that injury in that game just before Baku. But the reality is the midfield has moved on significantly, and perhaps it's a case, just being honest, that looking at players that have come through in similar midfield roles, are they, better than Loftus-Cheek already at a younger age? And the simple answer is yes. So I think the club need to find solutions with him, and it's difficult because I think, a lot of us want Ruben Loftus-Cheek to make it, and he clearly, is very popular with the fans, but I think he needs to move on for the good of his career.
Yeah. No, Ruben Loftus-Cheek unfortunately had that injury which turned his world upside down because he was having such a great career prior to that, both on an international level and at club level. So it's unfortunate to see him in this situation, but hopefully he can turn things around. Listen, people, we are going to take a 2-minute break, and then when we come back, we're going to have people jumping on here from the panelists. Rob, you have the link. If there's anybody that you want to send the link out to, feel free to do so. We'll get some people in here. We'll have an open discussion and post your questions in the chat. We will address them after the break. So let me just roll the Okay, guys, 2 minutes. If you want to go grab a drink, do something, come back in 2. I'll see you guys on the other side. Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you guys had a good break. Bobby, I see you made it. How you doing, my man?
Hey, hi Mo. Hello, Rob.
Evening, Bobby. How are you?
Yeah, good. Good to see you again.
Couch Critic, welcome to the stream. How you doing, my man?
What's going on, fellas? I'm good. How are you guys?
We're good. We're good. Welcome.
Excellent.
Listen, people. As you all know, Rob has a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge, and we're lucky to have him on the stream today. By the way, I've been trying to get him on all summer, but he has been busy, so he has been preoccupied. But he did come on at the beginning of the summer. So take advantage of his presence and ask away any questions you guys have. Also, people in the chat, anything you want to ask Rob, post it in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to address it with Rob. So take it away, lads. The floor is open.
Just quickly, I want to say someone asking who's Saul. Sure. I was just going to say that's related to Saul Niguez at Atletico Madrid.
Yep.
I think we discussed that.
Yeah, Saul Niguez, Spanish midfielder that plays for Atletico Madrid. And like Rob said, the lad's his contract is quite big, and Atletico need to streamline their books as well, I guess. So, has he been offered to Chelsea, Rob, or has he been offered to another?
He's been offered around a lot of clubs by his agent. His agent's been told he can offer him around. Incidentally, it's worth noting that Atletico do feel they've already replaced the player. Because they brought Rodrigo de Paul in, who was their primary number one replacement, because they expected Saul to join Bayern Munich, but for various reasons that didn't happen. And now he's got to sort of late in the window where Simeone's happy to keep the player, but doesn't really, he's made it clear he's not really part of the plans. And, with them winning the title last year, he isn't really going to disrupt a winning team. They've also got other players that he likes, like Koke in the midfield, Rodrigo de Paul. They've been playing Carrasco sort of more in the central position, and they've been relying sort of less on that box-to-box role.
Sure. How likely is this deal to happen?
I mean, you will know I don't really do how likely questions. However, I would say I think there's a good chance a deal can happen, but I think certainly the club would like to do something for Tchouaméni personally if they can, because Aurélien Tchouaméni is the person who the club have sort of looked at and really earmarked for this role, besides Declan Rice, who we've already sort of discussed. But I think, if an opportunity presents itself, it's a bit like the Kovačić, I think, loan a few years ago, where that sort of came out of nowhere. If the opportunity is right and it's the right sort of, numbers on both sides, then I think a deal's certainly, very possible.
All right, cool. Gabriel, I see your question. I'll come back to it in a second. I want to give the lads on the panel a chance to jump in first. Couch, you got any questions for Rob?
Yeah, I guess it's just going to be on the back of this Niguez interest or peddling of an agent. What is the likelihood of something like getting the loan deal for Niguez and actually purchasing Tchouaméni with an? I'm just loaning him back out
in the same window.
Yeah, just loaning him out to Monaco.
Yeah, I would not expect that to happen. It's possible that I think Chelsea might look at buying Tchouaméni and loaning him back to Monaco. I think it's also possible they might bring in Saul on loan, but I don't think they will want a situation where as I've said with Saul, I don't think they will get the option to buy. I think it'll end up being an obligation if it does happen. Right. And I don't think Chelsea will want to be in a situation coming into next summer, particularly with the fact Billy Gilmour's returning from loan, where they've then got to try and incorporate 3 midfielders effectively into the squad. There's N'Golo Conte, who we obviously know is getting a new contract as well. That's, negotiations for that going well. And there are Jorginho and Kovačić, who are both, going to be available, but they're not going to be cheap either. And they're both quite settled at the club. So I think, the most likely one I would say next summer to leave would be Kovačić. Jorginho's situation is that he's well liked by the manager. He is increasingly sort of happy with what's going on. I know someone listening to this stream who, particularly doesn't like Jorginho, won't like hearing this, but Tuchel sees him as the leader, and he does do a lot, behind the scenes. He's extremely, extremely vocal, which is something Tuchel really values.
Yeah, so I guess just to follow on that. So
just 1 second, Couch.
Yeah, sure.
Boogeyman, welcome to the stream. How you doing? You're on mute, Boogeyman. All right. Fix your mic, Boogeyman.
I'm good. Hello, Bob and Rob. Sorry, Bobby. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Yourself?
We're doing good.
I'm good. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah,
You're
we're getting an echo. There's an echo.
Oh, yeah. I have the YouTube one on. Sorry. Yeah. I just closed it now. Sorry.
All right, cool. Boogeyman,
Couch critics. Hello.
What's going on, brother?
I'm good, man.
Good.
Boogeyman, the debate is open, so anyone can jump in. You don't have to wait for me to ask you to come in. We're just waiting for Couch to complete his comment, and then we'll continue. Couch, my man, I cut you off. I apologize.
Oh, no worries. I was just wondering. There's no option. Like, I guess Atletico is only looking for the one option, whether it be obligation or. What would be that? So you'd basically have to, if you're looking for another midfielder and he's one of the options, we'd have to put in the clause that we're going to be purchasing him next year.
So certainly that's what Atleti are looking for at the moment. Chelsea will negotiate and we'll see. And it might end up, it might be a case that there's an obligation with stipulations attached, i.e. he needs to make 30 appearances. A bit like I think with Kovacic's loan, he needed to make 30 appearances for the obligation to become active. But certainly that is Atleti don't really want to do anything unless they can guarantee finances coming in. And more importantly, the contract also coming off their bill. Because what they don't want to do is bring someone else in and then have Sal's contract returning next summer, causing an FFP headache.
DJ Sav, welcome to the stream. DJ Sav.
Evening, Sav.
DJ Sav might have a connection issue.
Yeah, I have a quick question. It's more related to Rudiger. We all know Rudiger is 28 and his contract issues and all those things. But I don't think Chelsea has found a replacement or a backup for that position, that left centre back yet. Because even from my perspective, is Koundé will be at the centre or right. So sure. I'm not sure if Chelsea is looking at a backup or Rudiger on the market, or even I'm not sure. Maybe they have some replacement. I just don't know about it yet. But that would be my question to you at this point.
Sure. The two players Chelsea are really interested in that left centre back position are Levi Colwill and Xavier Mbayamba, who've both been playing there at youth level. Mbayamba is incredibly highly rated and needs a consistent run of games in the youth side to prove his worth. Levi Colwill is out on loan and playing very, very well in the in the Championship for Huddersfield at the minute. And Chelsea gave him a big contract with a plan of seeing him go out on loan maybe for a couple of years, and then come back and come straight into the first team. In terms of Rudiger, as I said earlier, I think the club are planning for a situation that he won't sign a contract, but I think it's possible he might sign one. I think it's possible he might sign one for, say, maybe a couple of years extension and still be on the market next summer, or asked to be on the market next summer. But I think Levi Colwill is the one they're really looking at in that position. In terms of a signing coming in, there is a clear first choice name who's going to be the centre-back target next summer, and that's Marquinhos if Thomas Tuchel gets his way, because Thomas Tuchel absolutely adores the player. The player himself really likes Thomas Tuchel. It was Tuchel who made him captain at Paris Saint-Germain, or sort of vice-captain along with Thiago Silva. And yeah, he sort of, really, 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 really likes the player.
Can you address this question from Gabriel?
So I said last week to someone that I wouldn't be shocked to see Manchester City come in for Cristiano Ronaldo if he came on the books, and I got completely lambasted. Got told, "Oh, we won't go there. He's got too much respect for Manchester United." The fact is, Ronaldo, with his opinion of himself, he will want to test himself at the highest level again. Now, if I was to make a very bold prediction, I would say I think if Mbappe does end up leaving to Real Madrid, which I think might happen in these next couple of weeks, I think that PSG will put an offer in for Ronaldo, and will try and have Neymar, Messi, and Ronaldo as the front three.
Wow.
It seems ridiculous, but it would fit the player because it would be another league, and he's always talked about Chelsea having no leagues. It would take a lot of the spotlight away from Lionel Messi if you suddenly had him jumping there, and that will partly be in his thoughts of it. And the other thing is going to France and doing another good year in France a good year at PSG means he will probably be in a Ballon d'Or conversation. It also will set him up nicely for being involved for Portugal at Qatar 2022 if he takes a 2-year deal there. Now, I still think it'll be difficult for a deal to be financed for Ronaldo this late in the window. He has made it clear he would like something to happen. He's not happy at Juventus. He would like to move on. But I think, Manchester United are being wary because they would like to do that return. They like the symbolism and the idea of it, but the wages are huge. At his age, is it really worth the risk? And they already have one aging striker in Edinson Cavani. Manchester City really do like Harry Kane, and I think they will continue to push for the player. Maybe they'd make an offer for Ronaldo, but I don't really know. Chelsea obviously sorted out with Lukaku. There's no chance of going to Liverpool. I'm sure, he probably doesn't even know who Tottenham Hotspur are because they weren't relevant when he was, in the Premier League. I don't think, if he...
They're still relevant, Mob. They're still relevant.
Well, yes, exactly. If he, I don't think he wants to punish himself by going to play for Arsenal. I can't see him turning for Leicester City. So I think, Ronaldo likely stays stuck for another year. I think maybe one more year in Italy if he doesn't end up going to France, and then probably a stint in the MLS. I could see someone like Inter Miami seeing him as really marketable and bringing him in.
I kind of have
Bobby,
a couple of questions.
Bobby, go ahead. Yeah, I was about to bring you in.
Yeah. To be honest, I can't see beyond Rudiger not signing a deal. It doesn't make any sense to me, especially with how he's playing and the fact that he's in the prime of his career. I don't think I don't think that one is going to be as difficult as we kind of feel it might be. Mm-hmm. I've got a couple of things that are sort of lingering in my mind, which is really interesting. I'd really like to know your opinion, Rob. Yeah. And that is two things. Chelsea have done well, actually, by getting rid of players, because I know a lot of clubs out there are trying to sell, and they can't. Now, I know we are looking more to offloading them off our wage bill than the price tag, finally. But it's still a slight gamble now, because with clubs slowly getting back to normal, their prices may go up again next season. But I personally don't think we can afford to wait that long. However, having said all that, it seems strange to me that we have this interest in Declan Rice. We're trying to sell Zouma to West Ham, mm-hmm. and Rice isn't even mentioned in the deal. I'm watching West Ham now, and I'm thinking, crikey, if they do have Zouma, then they may as well be an American football team, because they will be perhaps the biggest team I've ever seen. But that aside, it seems really strange that we haven't put Rice anywhere near the question of this deal. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
So I think firstly, it's important to reference that swap deals are really, really rare in football. And I think, people have a rose-tinted view because they see things, they see things in their mind that they think would work as a swap deal, and, see where it should logically make sense. The fact of the matter is football deals mainly are done for the financial purposes of bookkeeping in order to balance the books, which is why for a few years ago, Arthur and Pjanic, although that was a straight swap deal between Juventus and Barcelona, in theory it meant that Arthur was sold for X amount and Pjanic was sold for Y amount, and that was put in the books that they were making and breaking even, rather than some sort of swap, because it means you can write off the wages, etc. Then we come on to, in the case of Declan Rice, West Ham value him at something, sort of north of 80, 90 million this year. They don't value Kurt Zouma anywhere near that. And I think efforts to try and shoehorn players into the deal, into a swap deal, would result in West Ham simply raising the amount of cash they want. Because they wouldn't, they want cold hard, they want players and they want to pay cold hard cash for them. They aren't really keen on horse trading. And there are players they like at Chelsea. There have been players they like Tammy Abraham. They like Ross Barkley. They do like Kurt Zouma. But if Chelsea put forward, some sort of swap deal with the three players, and they would get laughed away because of that. Now, in terms of purely Kurt Zouma's situation, I think, you'd be looking at 80 million on top as a minimum, as a cash payment. And I think Chelsea will be content to wait a little bit longer, maybe another season on Declan Rice, because they know he wants to come to Chelsea. It's, it's not as if there's real competition in that regard. His first choice is Chelsea. And next summer, if he has another year, he refuses to sign contracts for another year. And the fact that, the rumour mill will swirl around. West Ham's finances aren't going to improve because of the situation they're in. He may be available for a much lower fee. And it may just be a case like Sancho at Manchester United, where they turned down the chance to sign him last summer for a much, much higher fee and ended up getting him for, sort of around 50 million less because they waited and they took advantage of the situation.
Also, Saul Niguez, doesn't it worry Chelsea fans that he's something of a reject and he's being palmed off to us? I always it's a bit of a catch-22. You like a player to be wanted. You want to be able to get him, but there's just something off about this deal.
The fact that Bayern Munich wanted him earlier this summer and would have signed him if they could move on Corotine to Lisa is enough for me. The fact that Manchester United would sign him if they could, sort out the Paul Pogba situation or shift Donny van de Beek is enough for me. I think people tend to, look at Saul and say, and I've said this to a few people today, they look at it and say, he's sort of downhill and stuff like that. He's 26, he's coming towards his prime. And furthermore, if downhill is making 32 appearances in a side that won La Liga last season, then I'll take downhill. Because people, I think, forget that Atletico did win the league last season and did win it quite comfortably in the end. And Saul played a lot of games. So I think people are perhaps taking, the fact that he's being offered around not at face value and saying, he's unwanted. It's not that he's unwanted because of the player he is. He's unwanted because of the financial situation he carries in regards to where Atletico Madrid are.
Does he get in ahead of any? Sorry, Bobby. Does he get in ahead of any of the guys that we have currently, like the Contes, the Jorginhos? Like,
I don't think anyone
comes, right?
I don't think anyone gets ahead. I think, to be honest, I think personally for me it's Conte and then one other player alongside him. And I think it's horses for courses depending on the games you're in. I think there are games where Jorginho makes more sense. I think there are games where Kovačić makes more sense. I could see games where Saul would make more sense. Saul's thing he does add is he's a tall guy, he's athletic, he's strong, he's a really robust midfielder. And you put him in alongside Conte, maybe up against some of the more physical, like for example, I would prefer them up against Souček and Rice. For West Ham, because Souček's a big guy, Rice is a big guy, and we've seen them before bully Jorginho. And we saw it last season that, I think it was the season before, we saw Souček just sit and bully Jorginho for 90 minutes. And Saul is someone who is from the Simeone school of hard knocks and will not get bullied. And I think that's what we need to look for in this attribute for this next midfielder, which is why I also think Chelsea are looking at Tchouaméni, because Tchouaméni is also a big guy, he's a physical guy, and despite, being a very good passer, he can look after himself. But I think it's more likely, if I was to say at the moment, to be Saul.
Okay. Yeah, following the Couch Creature's question, is Saul coming as a backup for Jorginho, or just Saul is just a fourth option, just because for some reason I feel like we need to Chelsea would like to protect Jorginho because Kovačić and Kante seem to share the game time, and then Jorginho keep playing pretty much all the game because he seems to be the one that dictate our tempo and our style of playing also. So like when I heard the name Saul, Spanish guy, I'm thinking about I haven't watched a lot of his game. I didn't follow him too much. So I'm just thinking maybe he's also as good as Jorginho. That's why we keep mentioning his name. Because me, particularly, I don't even think we need Tchouaméni. If we want to buy Tchouaméni, I'd rather us buying Declan Rice, because at least he has an EPL experiences, and I think next year he will be as cheap as Tchouaméni. So for me, Saul, I just want to know more about Saul. Is he going to be a backup for Jorginho, the way Jorginho dictates our tempo and everything, or is he just going to be like a fourth option?
I want to caveat that. Boogeyman. Taking what Boogeyman just asked, I want to also incorporate what Mikhail said in the chat in regards to Chalobah. Could Chalobah also be seen as a DM, as an option in that DM role? I know Tuchel said that he wants him to focus on being a centre back rather than having both of those roles in his mindset and in his training. So regarding Saul and regarding Chalobah, could Chalobah somewhere down the line be also considered as a potential DM?
I think it's, one of those things that would be possible, and I think he could perfectly happily play that role. He did play it a little bit for Lorient last season. However, it's, Chelsea see him as a centre-back. The player himself has said he sees himself as a centre-back, and he wants to play centre-back. So I can't see that being a long-term solution. In regards to Saul and Jorginho, I think it's more of a case, probably in this case, of protecting Conte than Jorginho, because Jorginho has an incredible natural fitness, and I think he's been injured for 4 games throughout his entire career or something utterly ludicrous. He doesn't miss many matches due to injury. It's mainly due to he's very clever. He picks for suspension about the time he's in the red zone, so due to persistent yellow cards, just so he gets that break in there. But I think Saul is more the case. They bring him in, or Tchouaméni would come in as an option and an extra sort of midfielder. And I don't personally like sort of saying, X is in there as backup for X, because I think the sign of a good squad is you can put in any combination of players in that role and be happy with it. And that is what I think the gold standards is what we need to be looking for.
Exactly.
Yep. DJ Sav, welcome to the stream. I know you're having internet connection issues. I hope it's stable.
Yeah, it is so far, mate. It is so far. How you guys all doing? All right?
We're doing good.
We're doing good. Thank you.
Nice to see you again, Rob. Just a quick question for you, really, mate. On transfers, what's this news about? I don't know if it's any news in it at all. Mariba from Barcelona. Has there been links with this guy, or what's the situation with this guy?
So, Eliax is one of those names that when I was last on here, I mentioned Eliax Moriba and said keep an eye on Eliax Moriba. Yes. So, Eliax Moriba, Chelsea and Manchester City both really like the player. The player is not going to renew at Barcelona because Barcelona are basically offering him reduced terms despite the fact he's now a first-team player. His agent has been in his ear saying, you deserve better than that. He's an extremely talented young player, but he does still have a lot to prove, let's be fair. So, Barcelona know he's out of contract next summer, and they're looking to, get a cut price fee at the moment for him and cut their losses in the way. They've had other players that have overtaken him in the pecking order in their eyes in Pedri. I think there's also Rodrigo Gallajon as well, another young lad at Barcelona. There's a few younger players who've started to sort of take up his minutes, and there's also Riqui Puig as well, Riqui Puig, who sort of needs to be playing more at his age. So there is certainly a chance Chelsea might make an offer for Eliax, and I think what they would try and do is if they made any sort of deal, they would try and loan him out for the season. Alternatively, they might wait until next summer and try and get him on a free transfer. Now, at the moment, I think it's more likely he ends up elsewhere. RB Leipzig have put a proposal on the table, and the player himself has been offered a sort of pathway by Leipzig. They have tried to sign him once before when I think he turned 16 and first signed his pro deal, and was quoted the £100 million buyout clause by Barcelona because they do really rate the player, but the entire situation has broken down. So it's a watch this space one. He'll be on the move in the next few days. I can't see him staying at Barcelona. I think if he does stay, he probably would stay in the B side for the year, won't really progress, and then might be signed on a free next season. But I think it's more likely he probably ends up at RB Leipzig. Certainly, I wouldn't rule out maybe if Chelsea did buy him, maybe looking at loaning him to RB Leipzig, but I don't think they'll be particularly keen on that. They'll be seeing an opportunity there to make an investment and then bring a player in and sell him on for significant profit, as they've done with the likes of Dani Olmo, and previously they've done it with people like Naby Keita.
Rob, is the Bakayoko situation resolved?
Timo Bakayoko, from what I understand, it should happen. He should end up going to AC Milan. It sounds like it's just the final bits of formalities. I don't know if it's just a loan with an option. I know Chelsea were pushing for a loan with an obligation. AC Milan were only keen on that if the fee was a lot lower. But, realistically, as I've said before, the player needs to go out. He had a good loan sort of last year. He needs to be out playing regular minutes and rebuilding his career elsewhere. He clearly doesn't have a future here. So goodbye and good luck.
Yeah. Adios, Bakayoko. People in the chat, if you want to address any questions to Rob, please put them in there. I'm seeing a lot of questions that he's already answered. So if you guys have anything new, just stick them in and we'll address them. Boogeyman, you're quiet, man. you're contemplating?
Oh yeah, the next question is I don't even think it's a question. Is next summer, Haaland will be at £76 million. Do you think Chelsea will still go for him, even if we have Lukaku?
I mean, I think it's difficult. I think next summer that if that happened, I think it would be because Chelsea saw Bayern maybe coming in big for Kai Havertz or something like that. I think it's interesting, but I think probably not. I think he's probably bound for Real Madrid, as I've said. I think it's unlikely to sort of happen. I think it's one where the boat was. There was a window there was a chance this summer to make a deal happen at a very, very big cost. And it's now a much lower cost, but there's a much lower chance. But I think he probably ends up at Real Madrid.
Do you think Madrid will have both Haaland, Mbappe, and Benzema?
Yeah, but they would like. Well, certainly next summer there is a chance. I think Benzema may end up back at Lyon. And I think there is a player that Real Madrid really like at Lyon, and I think they might try and do some sort of deal. Alternatively, Benzema might end up at someone like Juventus. I could see that happening. I've been told Ronaldo's been in Benzema's ear about potentially trying Italy out. And of course Paris Saint-Germain like a high profile French player, so Benzema coming in might placate them. But in terms of Real Madrid's plan was always to have two, their poster boys for their rebuild were always going to be Haaland and Mbappe, and they would like to partner the two of them up front.
Camavinga. Any
Edu Camavinga. So Edu Camavinga, as I sort of said, I said this again earlier in the window, it was one to watch because it would happen this summer. Chelsea, via Petr Cech, have watched the player. They do have a good relationship with Stade Rennes due to the way the Mendy deal's been done and also the way Petr Cech's original deal was brokered. The club have sent players on loan to Stade Rennes before, and they've been, treated relatively well. Chelsea, I would say at the moment, probably aren't going to sign Edu Camavinga this window because Camavinga himself has decided he wants to move to either Real Madrid or to PSG. I think Manchester United still have stepped back because of that reason, because they still think, his heart is set on those. And I still think, Paris Saint-Germain will probably make an offer in the next couple of days. They will probably try and bring him in. He's the big sort of French talent. And as I've said before, they want a high-profile French player. They couldn't get Pogba this window. They'll probably try for a free transfer for Pogba next summer if he's still available. So I think Camavinga probably ends up at PSG. Although if Real Madrid have got a bit of an issue with their midfield and some injury crisis, and they do really like the player as well, although I think their interest has faded a bit due to Zidane leaving because Zidane was really, really pushing it. So I think it's probably going to be Paris Saint-Germain for Camavinga, although Chelsea do like the player, so if the right opportunity presents itself, maybe, but I think, again, he'd probably be, third choice, fourth choice if we're talking Rice, Tchouaméni, Saul.
Have Real Madrid got the finances for all this?
Yeah, Real Madrid's finances are an interesting situation in that they're not actually in as bad a financial situation as some of the teams. They have a sort of slightly better liquidity ratio. They've moved on a number of players. They've got players off the wage bill. They've still got players they're trying to sell. Most importantly, they've got people like Ramos off the wage bill that were on, very significant wages. They've also moved on players, people like Odegaard, who clearly didn't want to be there. He was not on a small, insignificant wage. People like Marco Asensio and Isco are all still up for sale. They have accepted they need to perhaps not bring in big, high-profile replacements. In some players, for example, Ramos has been replaced by Jesus Vallejo, which time will tell if that ends up being an acceptable move or not. And financially, they're actually in quite a decent position compared to some of the Spanish clubs. I mean, decent is a liminal word because it's not huge. I'm not going to say they're in a healthy financial situation, but they're able to borrow on existing assets and manage it to a way. And they will look to placate all of this by, possibly a couple of big money transfers this summer and then some bigger money sales next summer, some more experienced players moving on. Certainly, I think if he doesn't leave this summer, Eden Hazard will go next year because it just hasn't, worked out. Benzema, as I said, likely to probably go. You might even see the likes of Casemiro, sort of Nacho Fernandez, Isco moving on in the next 12 months. Someone said they doubt they sell Isco. I'm not sure why you doubt they sell Isco, because I think he's now 29, 30. he's not really been a consistent sort of performer for Real Madrid. He played very well at the weekend, and he does play very well under Carlo Ancelotti, so that might bring him in. However, I think Real Madrid are ultimately looking at it. Benzema did sign a new contract at Real Madrid, but again, we've seen Real Madrid, sign players to new contracts and sell them very soon afterwards. So it's not, hugely surprising.
Rob, how good are you for time? Because you said 1 hour 15 minutes.
I'll probably do about another 5 minutes or so.
All right. I want you to address this question, and that will be the final one.
Yeah.
How do you think it's gonna pan out? I mean, we've got a couple of weeks left. How do you think it's gonna pan out? What's coming in? What's happening?
Well, I mean, firstly, I'll say I'm sure everyone on Twitter will keep a calm, level head about every single report, won't be overreacting. I'll see plenty of positive, sensible financial comments about the situation, how to manage deals, and I won't see people, speculating or saying, complaining about the fact that XYZ is not done in 5 minutes. Now I've got all of, my fantasy out of the way. I think Chelsea almost certainly will move Kurt Zouma on. Gabrielle, thanks for that. Pinch of salt regarding some comments. I don't know why I bother at times. So going back to sort of my comments anyway, I think, Kurt Zouma, I think will go. I think he probably leaves. I think Jules Koundé comes in. I think a midfielder probably does come in. Maybe Saul Niguez. But I don't really, I think Chelsea would like Tchouaméni or Declan Rice. I think it'll be Saul probably on the loan to buy. I don't think much more happens. Maybe a deal for Elias if something can be done to loan him out. In terms of outgoings, the club, will want to move players on. Malang Sarr, I think we haven't discussed him, but he's got a few loan destinations. Timo Bakayoko will leave. Ross Barkley can go. Ruben Loftus-Cheek can go. Danny Drinkwater can go. Ethan Ampadu has been told he can go on loan if he wants. I think he probably will end up going on loan. That's interesting in the player. There's a couple of young goalkeepers at the squad who I think they've now managed to move most of them on, but there are a couple of them that they'd like to sort of move on. I think other than that, it's pretty settled squad. Now, the wild card I might say is Callum Hudson-Odoi maybe leaving if he doesn't get more minutes, because I think, he knows he needs regular minutes this season, but I'm not sure, I don't think anything's in the pipeline directly for him.
I just got a quick follow-up to all of that. Just quickly, I just wanted to know, because it looks like the finances at Chelsea are very well in order right now. We have money coming in equaling basically money going out with the Lukaku signing, and then obviously we're looking at the Koundé deal with Zouma going out and whatnot. I'm just trying to figure out, because we've made so much money in the past year and a bit just with the Champions League, finishing top 4. Is the policy at the club still money going in has to equal money going out? And if that's the case, are we going to see any sort of big deals unless we see players move?
I'll be honest, I don't really like talking football finances because they're so confusing, and I don't pretend to be a financial expert. But I will say the club are keen to comply with FFP. They know what they want to do. They knew pretty clearly this summer they wanted to bring a striker, and it needed to be financed by outgoings. There were players they planned on moving on. There were some players who they didn't necessarily plan on moving on this window, like Mark Gurhey, for instance, where the option that was made was a good deal for both parties. But I think in general, you're starting to see Chelsea looking towards a more sustainable style of sort of spending. I think you will start to see that a little bit, especially due to post-COVID, while it sort of gets itself back on its feet. It's also the fact that, Chelsea will be aware of it. In the past, they've spent for spending's sake, bringing in players like Bakayoko, Zappacosta, sort of Danny Drinkwater, etc., who several years on now have no value and sort of, or no to little value, I'll be fair on them, and subsequently are going to, need to move on, really, and need to be moved on, at a loss. And I think the club will try and avoid that, and they will also be aware. I think the thing that the last 18 months hopefully has opened their eyes up to is the fact there are academy assets now that if you do sell them on, you potentially get, buyback clauses and stuff that potentially gives you a future insurance while also getting some quick cash in.
Yep.
Rob, can I just say one final thing? In regards to Gabrielle's response in saying a lot of ifs, buts and maybes, if you think that that's not the case, I advise you to look back through Fabrizio Romano's tweets all window and tell me you got every single one of them right. Because I will say I do take offence at that. I spend a lot of time sorting this out. I've spent a lot of time getting information and sort of giving it out, and I don't, in cases like that, I wonder why I bother.
Rob, sorry,
just one second. As a journalist, you report on the facts that are at hand at that point in time. Those facts change. Those opinions change. People. We're reporting on clubs negotiating over certain deals and certain contracts and certain situations. They are going to change because when you're negotiating, it's a matter of giving and taking, and opinions are going to change, positions are going to change. Therefore, what you're reporting on today could be different tomorrow. And as we saw with the untouchable statement by Fabrizio Romano in regards to Romelu Lukaku being untouchable, we saw that wasn't the case because Chelsea were able to secure his signature. Therefore, things are not going to be 100% accurate, 100% correct. They are as accurate as they are at that point in time, and within 24 hours, situations can change, and that information will then be amended and changed. So, Rob, always a pleasure having you on, mate. Your time is valuable. The information you have given, the insight you have given, is appreciated by everybody in the chat and here on the panel. And we welcome you on this channel again in the future. So, thank you for being here, and I'll give the panelists a couple of seconds to say anything they want to say towards you before we let you go.
Nice one, Rob. Decent information. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Again, like I said, I'm happy to always do it. It's just we'll say I get an answer comments like that because, as I've said, I could just sit and take the information and keep it all sort of for myself. And again, I say with people like, to comments like that, a month ago, all the journalists told you Messi was renewing. I said when we were on that last call, I said Paris Saint-Germain might come in with an offer for him. I said on that last call to don't rule out Romelu Lukaku. I said on that last time we spoke, I said Manchester United like Raphael Varane. I'd like to think my track record speaks for itself this window, but that you're free to make up your own choices on what is and isn't reliable, what you want to believe, what you don't want to believe. I could tell you if you want to hear it that Declan Rice is currently signing a contract at Stamford Bridge. It's complete nonsense, but obviously if that's what you want to hear, that's what you want to hear.
No,
cheers, I have one quick question, if I'm allowed to. It's just regarding the academic player that we saw.
Wait, Rob. The time is yours. Can you take another question?
I can do one last quick question on sort of academy players.
Yeah. So regarding our academy player that was sold this year, I just want to know if you have any insight on which one has a buyback clause and which one does not. Especially, I'm more interested in Livramento and Abraham because we heard both have buyback clause, but I'm not sure if you have any insight.
So Tammy Abraham has a buyback clause. Tino Livramento has a buyback clause. Abraham's I think becomes active in 2023. Livramento's I think becomes active from next summer. Livramento's is around £40 million. Tammy Abraham's is about 70 million euros. Might be 80 million actually. Chelsea have a first option purchase on Mark Gurhey. Around I think £40 million. If he comes up for sale, they have a right to match any bid as well that's made. They don't have anything on Miles Pert-Harris, Dino Simiyu, or Lewis Bates. Right to match any bid as well. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, thanks. And thanks for your time. Anyway,
no problem.
Any answer you gave here today was truthful, and I can see the effort in it. You put a lot of effort to gather all those information. So thanks.
No, agreed. Yeah. Thanks again, Rob, mate. Cheers for that.
Cheers, Rob. Really appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Rob, do me one favor before you go.
Sure.
DM me all the links and details you want me to put into the description box of this video, so people can come back in and check out the Chelsea socials, both women's and men's. So much appreciated, mate. Thank you for being here.
No problem. Cheers, guys. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Have a good night. Cheers.
Take care, mate. Bye. Good night, Rob.
Bye bye. Fantastic bloke. And listen, for those of you who don't know the guy, he came on within a couple of hours of me asking him to come on. Okay, so literally called him, said to him, mate, I'd like you to come on the show. I wanted to clear up some of the these stories, because there's a lot of stories that are currently going around in regards to Zouma, Koundé, Saul, and the man came on. The man came on straight away. Said, "Yeah, I'll be there." He asked me to stream earlier because he had something to do tonight. So instead of streaming at 10, I streamed at 9. Guys, please show respect and show patience to everyone I bring on, because they're coming here for you. Every guest that comes on here, even these guys here on the panel, they're coming here for you because they want to provide you with this forum to discuss, to interact, and to learn something. We are all fans of Chelsea Football Club, and we all want to educate ourselves and become better in regards to what we know and how to interact with our club. This is not a channel for trolling. This is not a channel for banter. This is a channel for serious discussion, serious opinions, serious thoughts. There are other channels that you can go to and just banter and have a laugh and do what you want to do. If you want to have a serious discussion, then this is what the Blue Lounge is all about. Now, I know Gabriel and others did not intend for things to be taken into that context, but you also have to understand that not everybody here reads your comments on a daily basis. I know what Gabriel is all about. Great lad. Gabriel is a great lad. He's he's coming into my streams. He's giving his point of view. He's giving his opinion, and I respect it and I enjoy it. But sometimes it can be misunderstood when the person hasn't interacted with you before. So everyone, just try to keep that in mind when you're interacting. Big up to everyone. Listen, I wanna say big up to Julius, who literally came in as Rob was leaving. Julius, how you doing, my man?
Yo.
Wagwan, Wood boy. What about Baklata go on in, Wood boy? Julius, how's it going? How's it going, man?
Not too bad. I missed most of the stream, to be honest.
Fantastic stream.
Yeah,
fantastic stream.
No doubt.
Rob really gave us some food for thought. I want to spend the next half an hour just discussing the information that we've just got from Rob in regards to the players coming in, the players going out. And, one thing that was really interesting, and to be honest, it also excited me to a certain degree. And I want to know what you guys think about this. What he said in regards to Declan Rice, and Chelsea may still do something in this window. He said they may push them or push their buttons on the last couple of days of the transfer window and put that pressure on, because they can, because Declan Rice will be pushing for that deal to happen if Chelsea were to come in for a reasonable offer. So what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on this, guys?
I just think Chelsea have all their irons in the fires right now. Like they have their hands in the Tchouaméni deal. It sounds like the Saul Niguez deal is the same. They have their hands in that, and they're not going to let go of the Declan Rice until the last day of the window. That much is obvious. But I don't know if one is more favored than the other in terms of like getting the actual transfer over the line. I just feel like they're going to try and push on all three of them and see what happens. And then if we could, if we can find the proper valuation for somebody like a Declan Rice, then they'll try and put in an offer there. But I just don't see one being favored over the other. We do know that we need another midfielder, and just to make up the numbers, somebody that's serviceable and can be used in the rotation, and not see much of a drop off. But whoever that may be, if it's going to be Saul Niguez on loan or Tchouaméni or Declan Rice, it's going to be one of them, I think.
Honestly, I've just been watching Declan Rice and West Ham. He doesn't really look like somebody that's about to be transferred. You never know in football, but it doesn't look that way at all.
Gabriel, listen, mate, you don't have to. Like I said, we know what you're about. Maybe Rob. He doesn't know you, so he might have taken it in a different manner. So we know what you're about. You're a good lad, and like I said, I know you were only trying to pose an opinion. And to be honest, I think Bobby might have led you down a path that he shouldn't have, because Bobby was But hey, listen.
War Bobby.
Listen.
Oh, man.
One thing you gotta say. Bobby, when he's asking his questions, he lets him have it. He says them directly, and he doesn't go around the houses. He says
Straight to the point.
I disagree with you. But Bobby is there to interact. So when Bobby's asking that question, Rob can tell him, his answer, and they can have a conversation. But when you're in the chat with another 70, 80 people with you, it's still a bit more difficult. So, but I know where you're getting at. And listen, big up to all of you.
What
Big up to all
question
of
was
you.
this?
Hey, Bobby, watch the stream again and watch the stream and watch Gabriel's messages, because you're asking from one direction, he's commenting from one direction, and Rob is looking at his comments, listening to your questions, and I can see why he might have got a little bit upset. But like I said, Rob, when he talks, he's not talking from his imagination. The man has information. The man has contacts. The man, when he's telling it to you, because he wants to enlighten you. He wants to give you that information. All right. So it's a bit different. I mean, when we talk here on the panel, we're talking opinion. We're talking about information that you and I all have. He has information that we don't have. Okay, I mean, sometimes he gets that information and he's told he's got to wait a couple of days before he can publicly talk about it. But he knows it. We don't know it, not for a couple of days. So just keep that in mind when we're discussing these things.
Bobby said he doesn't think he saw Declan Rice today, and he didn't look like someone that
wanted to move.
I didn't. Can Bobby expand on that just a little bit, because I didn't really understand what he meant.
Yeah, Bobby, don't make statements like that without backing it up with real facts and information. Yeah, stop doing that, man.
Oh my God! Listen, I'm just watching the game.
Yes, me too, mate.
Tanking Leicester 4-1. Leicester are playing with 10 men, or they had a player sent off. The game's finished now, and in the game, I'm looking at the body language whenever you get to see him. And I'm watching Declan Rice closely to see if there's any signs of him showing, any dissatisfaction at West Ham. And all I said was that I can't see any. That's all. I'm not really saying anything. I'm just saying that he doesn't look like somebody that is a bit. Do you know what I mean? If he was,
but were you basing that on though? I mean, you can't just say that. You got to base it on some
visuals. I'm watching the game.
He might be just tired, man. He might be just tired, isn't it?
No, he looks well up for it. He's been playing his heart out for West Ham tonight. That's what I'm basing it on.
Okay, now I understand what you mean. So he doesn't look like someone that is upset or anything. He just playing.
That's what I'm saying. If he was about to be transferred, or if he's trying to stay fit so he can make his move to Chelsea, his game, I think, should have been different.
Yeah, I haven't watched the game. Okay, good. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I want to say this.
The Amber.
Wait. Blue Class TV, man. $10 donation. Big up to you.
Oh, man.
Big up to you. I mean, Blue Class TV, man. Every stream. Thank you. Well done. And you donate to the stream, but you're talking about DJ, man. I mean, you can mention me in the comment as well. You know what I
mean? Can I just address that quickly, Mo?
Go ahead.
Big up to you, Blue Clouds TV, bro. I'm in the flesh here. I'm trying to show more of my face than hiding behind the camera every time. So hopefully I'll be showing more of my face on streams more now. So big up to you, bro. And a £10 donation as well to Blue Clouds TV and to Mo. Big up.
I want to ask you guys something. In all honesty, yeah. The guys in the chat, you've seen my intros. Which music is better, the Aisha song or the regular music? Let me know, seriously, in the chat. Let me know what kind of music you guys like me to put on my intros, man. Yeah, Julius, man, tell me what's going on.
Well, I just want to say, Blue Cloud is right about being excited seeing DJ. You look at him; he's a fine specimen. He should show his face more often.
Oh man, seriously, bro.
Listen. His problem is his connection is too weak. His connection is too weak. He puts his face on. It's going to lag out in 2 minutes.
Do you know what, bro? I'll be honest with you. I'm actually using. Do you know what? Today, as it goes, I'm actually using my MacBook today. Yeah, it's probably one of the reasons probably why my reception is pretty good. So that's probably. I think I might just stick to using my MacBook now. Even that reason.
even the image is good. Even the image is good. It's like it's clear, it's sharp. It's a good image as well.
Can I ask a quick question, please, to Gigi?
Yeah.
So yesterday night I was listening to Tuchel Presser, and I heard someone ask a question, and that voice is exactly yours. So I'm just wondering, were you asking Tuchel question yesterday?
No, mate, not at all, mate. I wish I was, mate.
No, seriously, if you guys can go back, I think it was the guy that asked the question Tuchel about James' injury. He asked the question how was James' injury, and Tuchel said it was just a tooth. And then the person said, okay, following that, are you happy with the team you have right now? That person's voice is just like yours. So I'm just like, that's why I sent that message on the group. Say, is that you? Because I'm just like, it can only be you. Okay, good. Sorry.
No. It's cool. I'm honored to actually think it was me, but nah, mate. I wish it was me, but nah. It would have been good to. To interview our boss, see what he had to say.
Yeah. I wanna go back to the topic. I want to go back to the topic before we wrap up. There's a school of thought that says this: 3 DMs is more than enough. 3 DMs is more than enough. Okay, provided they're all fit and healthy. Now, if you want to look at the future, of the club, we have a very good DM who's out on loan right now, Billy Gilmour. Billy Gilmour will be coming back next season after spending a year in the relegation battle with Norwich. That's going to give him a lot of experience to teach him some hard lessons, because he doesn't have great players around him. He's got to improve. He's got to play better. Billy Gilmour will come back next season a much better player, purely from that experience. Today, Chelsea bringing in a good DM, a good midfielder in Saúl Ñíguez on a loan will allow us to ensure that should we have an injury, should we want to rotate, we're able to do so. We can protect Kante better because we have Saúl Ñíguez in on a loan. End of the season, Saúl Ñíguez turns out to be a beast. We'll keep him. Turns out to be okay. We'll consider. Turns out to be a flop. See you later, mate. Go back. We've got Billy Gilmour coming in. So, from my perspective, even though Saúl Ñíguez probably has a big contract, a big wage bill coming with him, I'm okay with it. Now, I know Bobby wasn't too keen on him because Bobby doesn't see him to be a good player. And that is the question he posed to Rob. He said to him, I ain't too happy with this dude. This dude is a reject. Even though Rob rates him, I rate him. I still need to see a lot more of him. But I want to know what you guys think in respect to getting a good or a semi-good DM or loan for this season, just to bolster our midfield position. What do you guys think?
Can I start the response to that? Since
Yes, you can.
I'm implicated.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I've got to say, first of all, I am a firm believer in a 4th DM. I think we need the depth, we need the rotation, we need the protection for the 3 we've got, all of which are often susceptible to one injury or another through a very long season. And the kind of season we're going to have this season is going to be longer than most. That's one. The second one about Saúl Ñíguez. Look, I don't know that much about him as a midfielder. I watch Atletico Madrid, I must say, on occasion. And they're always sort of like the big games. Do I pay much attention to Saúl Ñíguez? Not particularly. So it just concerns me as a Chelsea fan when a player is rejected by his club and other clubs are and ahhing in and around him. I will question it. Now, am I right to question it? I don't know. I held my hand up about the Lukaku situation. I was dead against Lukaku. So far, after one game, he seems to be the player that everybody says he is. And I'll rightfully and happily hold my hand up and say I'm wrong, because my objective is Chelsea's success. So that's why I posed a question about Saul Niguez. I don't know this geezer. He better be as good as he says he is, as they say he is, if he's going to come to my club. That's just my take on it.
You're right to question it, Bobby. Absolutely, because I have the exact same opinion as you on this player as well. To be honest.
Thank you.
And you know what's funny, Mo, is that me and Bobby are always basically copy paste. We agree on everything.
Yeah,
But-
that's true.
That's why I got to have at least one of you in my streams all the time. At least one.
Yeah, so in my opinion, though, actually, Jonah, just make a quick comment on Lukaku. He was unreal yesterday, but I'm not going to hold my hands up yet because it's too early. And Arsenal is a mid-table team, with all due respect. They're not good enough. But regarding Saul, look, we're not saying he's bad, but I'm not sure how much is he going. How much is he worth right now?
It's a loan deal.
Loan. I'm not against it at all. Like, if we get him on loan, whatever, one season, I think we're gonna win the league this year, hopefully. And why not having extra depth? But to actually, this is my issue. I don't like when people start saying he's perfect, he's sick, this and that. To be honest with you, we don't know that. You cannot say he is the perfect midfielder for Chelsea. My perspective, I want Declan Rice. I know people say I have an agenda because I love Declan Rice and I'm biased, but if this is going to jeopardize us getting Declan Rice, I don't want him. Because I think Declan Rice is amazing. He is unreal, man. I was watching West Ham today. Different level, bro.
I think my worry with
another person watched West Ham, and you saw how he played today.
Yeah, I did.
I have to say, someone about to leave.
No, I have to say, I agree with both of you. I actually was very impressed with Declan Rice's game today, because I was obviously watching you guys, obviously on the stream and watching the game. He didn't look out of place at all today. I have to say that. My worry about Saul Niguez is what Rob had said, is his injury record. Can we really afford to bring somebody into the football club that's got so many injuries as much as this guy has got? I know it's a loan deal, but you're still paying quite a whack of his wages. And if we're going to get him in and he gets that bad injury, as we all know here, Kante gets a bad injury, and how long he goes out for. Jorginho the same. If we get another guy like Niguez coming in and he has that injury, we could be light in midfield again. So for me, I mean, look, if we can bring in Declan Rice, excellent. If we can bring in Tchouaméni, brilliant. I'd rather get those two come to the football club than Saul Niguez. It's not nothing against the player. I think he's a good player for what I've seen of him play for Atletico Madrid. But I just think my only concern with him is his first of all, his half wages that we have to pay, and obviously his injury record is the other thing. That's my only two concerns really about that deal. I don't know what you guys think.
But fair enough. No, I mean, good comments by all three of you. The point I'm trying to make here is this. We have two options: get a player on loan, or play with these three. Because because the thing is this: Tchouaméni, Declan Rice. Is it really going to happen? I mean, would you guys want to see this happen though? You know, Tchouaméni coming in.
Can I enter that debate real quick?
Boogeyman. I'm going to let you jump in. But this is what I'm thinking. Tchouaméni coming in, and then Billy Gilmour coming in next season. Where's Billy Gilmour going to slot in? Should we bring Tchouaméni in and see if he's good, keep him? Billy Gilmour, we can move him on. Or if he's bad, keep Billy Gilmour and move Tchouaméni on next season. The problem is, if we bring in Declan Rice, that's going to be hard to do because Declan Rice is, he's expensive. Tchouameni is not it's not as expensive as Declan Rice, but the flip side to that is he can stick around for 7 seasons, like Bakayoko, being going out alone every season. I mean, I'm not saying Tchouameni is a Bakayoko, but I'm saying is we have a DM waiting to come back into the team and play. And we know Billy Gilmour is of a good standard. It's not like we're waiting to see if Billy Gilmour is going to make it. No, he's made it. As far as I'm concerned, Billy Gilmour has made it. All he's lacking is a bit of game time, is a bit of experience. And going out to Norwich, coming back, he's going to have that experience. And this is my problem. Should we go get a proper midfielder and pay a packet for him, or should we go and get someone on loan, or should we just risk it with 3 players? Boogeyman, take it away.
Before I give Boogeyman the thing, I have to go. Thank you so much all for this great stream, and we'll be in touch.
Cheers. Have a good one, brother. Take care. Thank you for jumping on. Boogeyman, it's yours.
I'm one of those that still thinking that 3 midfielder that we have right now are enough for me. The reason is simple because when I look at the market, we do not have a better midfielder on the market right now that are better than the 3 we have. So for me, if you bring a squad player in, because it's just clear for me that anybody you bring in right now is a squad player. So if we want to bring a squad player in, then promote someone from the academy, or just give all the chance to Loftus-Cheek to just play with that position for half a season or whatever game he can get out of those 3 people. Then he can play with them. Then next season, Billy come in, and then Billy become a backup of Jorginho, because that's how I see the Chelsea midfielder, and that's how I see our system of playing. Jorginho type of player has to be in the team, and then we have someone that break the line around all those things around. So for me, next season, I would like to see, for example, Billy play with N'Golo Kante, and Billy playing with Kovačić, and then Jorginho can get some rest. That's how I see it. So, but regarding the fact that, let's say Chelsea decided to buy a midfielder, I'm not really of that people that think it will block Billy development, because if Billy is that good, he should be able to show it. Whoever is in front of him, he should be able to beat that person and just take that position and make it his. So whether you are from academy, you're Chelsea kid, or you're Chelsea academy, or Chelsea born, or whatever you are, you have to take your position and make it yours. So if Declan Rice was to come this season, or Billy has to fight for his position. That's all I can answer. I don't think it should be a reason to worry too much.
Can I just jump in real quick? I just think what we should be looking at is the profile of the midfielder, because if we get Tchouameni or we bring in Declan Rice, it's not to block out somebody like Billy Gilmour, because they play completely different roles in the midfield. Obviously, Gilmour would be the understudy to Jorginho in this respect, because they both like to have the ball. They both like to dictate tempo. Declan Rice, for me, is a guy that we don't have at the club right now. Somebody that can just sit in front of the back 3, back 4, break things up, and be an opposing physical presence in the midfield. That's why I don't mind his name being rumored with the club, because we have to have a collection of midfielders that can suit any style of game. We're getting really close to that right now with the mix of Kante, Kovačić, Jorginho, but I just don't think that we have that one other piece that could be just like a real bully in there and break things up for us, And with Tchouameni, I don't think that Tchouameni has a decided role in that midfield yet. He's still very much a rough piece that could be sort of molded in a specific way. Where you heard Fabregas talk about it. Fabregas was saying that he can be a 6, an 8, or a 10. That's what he sees. He hasn't really seen any weaknesses in his game that or any specific strength that would say that he is specifically a 6, 8, or a 10. He's saying this guy is an all-rounder who can be molded a certain way. So I think that he has some value as well. But if it comes down to it, I think we just have to look at this as the profile of the midfielder, what we're looking for. With Saul Niguez, I think he's decent. I just don't know what he's adding to our midfield. Can he score goals now? Is he scoring goals for us? Is that what we're looking for from the another midfielder, or is he somebody that is just a squad player that can kind of like jack of all trades, master of none kind of guy?
Yeah, you make a good point, Dennis. The perception or the requirement. I mean, what do we perceive to be the requirement in regards to our midfield? Do we need to find players to replace Jorginho, Kante in a few years? Are we preparing that? Are we getting players to play alongside him? Because Rob, this is why I like having people like Rob on here, because they give you different ways to look at things. Rob said, if you have Kante, it doesn't matter who plays next to him, because Kante is Kante. I believe that Declan Rice could also have that in him moving forwards in the future. Maybe not today. He's close to it, but maybe he needs to play for a club like Chelsea for that to be seen more. Because when you play for a team that is better, it allows you to play your game a little bit better because you have better players around you. So maybe Declan Rice coming to Chelsea will be a better player. Declan Rice coming to Chelsea though comes at a very high price, and that price, should Chelsea go ahead and pay that price? Because if you guys remember, and we had this conversation with Bobby and Boogeyman before we actually signed Lukaku, should Chelsea be paying that much money for Lukaku? Same conversation. Should Chelsea be paying that much money for Declan Rice? For me, looking at Lukaku and looking at what he is going to bring to Chelsea, that money isn't a problem for me. Declan Rice, are we there yet? Are we looking at that price tag as being still too big for the man? What do you guys think?
I don't think there's the same situation. Lukaku, we played last season. We know where our issue was. We know we needed a centre forward. It was just a fact. And all the
sorry, Boogeyman. Sorry, no, I'm not comparing the position. I'm comparing the situation in regards to the price.
Yeah, I know.
Our perception of the price.
Not good. Yeah, I kind of, sorry, yeah. But what I'm trying to get out of here is the fact that Lukaku, of course, the price of Lukaku was a concern. And I thought at one point Lukaku was not a profile for the team we have and the way we play. And I mean, yesterday we saw that he brought something completely different to our team and just add something completely different also to the team. The team has to adapt, and he has to also work and to adapt to our system also. So when it comes to Declan Rice, I just don't see that last season show anything that we need a high price midfielder this season. So whether Declan Rice come today, he's not going to be the one. He's not going to be entering our midfield and impose himself like that. He has to sit on the bench and then fight his position with three other midfielders pretty much. So if you ask me, do we go with that much money with Declan Rice? My answer is simply no. Just let's wait next season, because I think next season we'll get the same player with more experience and cheaper. That will be my view anyways.
It's not a bad look. I don't necessarily look at that the wrong way. Like but what do we do in the interim then? Like we need an extra center back right now just to compete in all the competitions that we're in right now. And I don't know if the level that we've established for ourselves right now, we can just say, we'll just put Ruben Loftus-Cheek in there. He's not really played as a 6 ever. He's more of a 8-10, right? And then to try and train him up to get, adjusted. To be honest with you guys, I'm more of the opinion that players will always resort to type. Regardless of where you play them on the pitch, they're going to resort to their type. If you play Mason Mount on the left wing, he's going to be a central midfielder essentially as well, because that's where his instincts and mentality is. So if you play Ruben Loftus-Cheek in that 6 role, you're going to see him bombing up the pitch all the time, trying to get as far, because that's his instincts are. So we need somebody that's going to play in that central midfield role, that is going to sit there and play as a central midfielder. And right now we don't have that at the club. You can say, we can look at Chalobah that way. We can give him those minutes, but he's not a central midfielder. He doesn't.
Do you think
he can use it there in a pinch, but he's not that player.
I think we might be overthinking this. um, there is a suspicion of mine that the club may not even do anything in the central midfield area until next season, in view of the fact that the player they really want is not available at a reasonable price. I think we have options within the players that we have already. People like Reece James, although I think it'll be a bit of a waste, he can play there. And of course, there's still Ampadu who hasn't gone out on loan yet. And even if he doesn't use someone like Ampadu, there are adaptations to players like Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who may not particularly need to play in the double six, but his presence may free somebody else up to play in the double six. It's not the ideal solution as to having an expert there, but it is an option. The only thing is that that option can only be short term. What I'm very mindful of, and that was sort of one of the questions I posed to Rob, and I doubted one thing that he said, this is in and around the Rudiger situation. And that is that as far as I'm concerned, and hopefully as far as the club is concerned, our European Cup victory has set us on a path to create something of a dynasty, a situation that has been accelerated by that victory, and a situation that we should embrace with both hands. It doesn't come around often, and when it does, the club can sit at the top for a good number of years before they have to rebuild again. And we are in the process of being on the cusp of that journey. Now, we can't do that by unsettling the team too much. Oh, get rid of this player. Get rid of this player. Oh, no, he's not playing too often. Get rid of him. That does not work. You need stability. You need to give contracts to some of the older players longer than you normally would. You know, love him or loathe him, Jorginho falls into that bracket. Kante certainly does. I believe Rudiger does. Possibly to a lesser extent, even our skipper, Azpilicueta. Some people don't like him as a captain. I do, because your captain doesn't have to be the best player. He just has to be the most steadying influence. And the team all fits together around all these players that have brought us to this position in the first place. So the CDM area is a delicate thing. We've got 3, we do need 4. If we don't have 4, we can look within and make do for the season.
I want to address this comment. DJ Sav, Bobby, can you confirm? Because I know we've won it with these players, but is it literally the season after we signed them? I'm not sure. Matic, Luis, Drogba, and Lukaku, hopefully.
What's that? The Premier League? Sorry, I haven't got my glasses on.
Chelsea winning the Premier League every time they sign back a player, like David Luiz, Drogba, and Matic.
That's very true.
Is it?
Yeah.
Did we win literally the season that we signed them?
Yeah, the season we signed back Matic, we won. Luiz, we won. Drogba, we won for sure. Yeah. He was a big reason we won.
So, it's one of them 2012, 2021 type comments. Listen,
that's a crazy start,
bus stop. Yeah, 88th bus stop. Big up to you, and thanks for the donation and a great comment. Great comment. Cheers.
People are crazy making those connections. I can't believe
I know.
There's a lot of geeks out there. But you get my point.
Mikhail came back to him. He's like, "Are you Taiwan Talks?" Because that's the kind of thing Taiwan Talks comes up with. Listen, people. We are literally 7 likes away from 100. So if you haven't hit the like button, please do it. Let's get to the 100 likes. Go on, Bobby. Sorry,
I was just saying. Did you get my point about the trajectory with which the team is going now? We can't destabilize it too much. We can't get rid of too many players, especially core players. The people we can get rid of, the likes of your Drinkwaters and
Bobby. Callum. Rob mentioned him. There's been talks about him. He's not getting enough game time. Could he be going? And if he goes, is that going to be a problem?
Do you know what? Callum is somebody that I really, really want to stay. But if I touch my hand on my heart and I tell myself the truth, Callum at the moment is a bit of a luxury. He's not ripping up trees. For example, Trevor Chalobah got his opportunity. He took it tremendously. Callum has had so many opportunities. He's not really done anything to be of memory. And he is at risk. I said this at one time on one of your streams, Mo, and people were almost at me. Bobby, what you're saying? I'm saying no.
I'm always on that. Yeah, I'm always on that opinion.
He needs to do something.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't do something, he needs to be more direct. He needs to be more of a goal threat. He needs to start to come to his own. And
100%.
if he doesn't, he might be at risk of going away on loan. The sad thing I feel about someone like Callum is that if he leaves Chelsea, his game will dwindle. He's not going to get any better.
My issue, let's just complete Bobby, is I agree. Chalobah has like half a chance if he took it really seriously and he put himself in the coach mind. And my only worry with Callum is, if you ask me, do we let Callum go? I want to say yes, but at the same time, I just see the potential there. He might just go to Bayern and turn into something big.
I don't want to say yes. That's the problem.
Yeah, then I'm like, oh man. But then the way he's playing right now, he's not in a good trajectory. Because he's been given the chance. Chelsea is not going to be the club that you will be playing. Maybe Lampard will give you that chance, but not Tuchel. Tuchel is just too pragmatic. He just wants the result, and if you don't give it what he wants, you're not going to be able to stay in that team for long. So I feel like Carlo has to I want him to take his chances and be part of the starting 11, but I just don't see that happen. But then my worry is he got the talent. If he goes somewhere, he can turn to something that we will regret our entire life. That's Callum who used to be in our youth academy. He wanted to stay, but we didn't give him a chance. And I don't want that to happen with him because he looks like someone that can turn really quick to something big.
I want to address his comment. Okay. Listen, Callum undoubtedly is one of the most talented players produced by Chelsea Academy in a very, very long time. The man has a lot of talent. He has a lot of potential, but he isn't achieving it. He isn't getting to show this potential, converting it into the right type of statistics. Has he been given enough opportunities? Subjective. I can say yes. Someone can say no. Subjective. The thing is with Callum is the kind of player that I believe once we do sell him, once he does go to somewhere else, I'll guarantee you in a couple of seasons, we'll be like, why did we let him go? Why did we sell him?
Agreed, man.
Right? Callum is that kind of player. Callum, we sell him two seasons, not three, not four, two seasons. One season for him to settle in, and the second season for him to show his potential. The problem with him in Chelsea is he has a lot of competition at Chelsea. It's not that we don't want to give him the opportunity. It's the fact that you can't give him the opportunity because to give him the opportunity, you're taking it away from someone who is already a better player than him. And that is a problem. We are in the business of winning tournaments, of winning trophies, of winning cups, winning leagues. That's what we want to be doing. That is why Callum isn't being given the opportunity. I would like to see him go out on loan. For the potential that he has and the ability that he has. go out alone, go to a big team, but at the same time, a team that will give you time. Does Borussia Dortmund need him? Does, RB Leipzig need him? Does Inter, does AC need him? A team that could, get him to play at that level. Because I don't want us to be to look back and say, oh, he had a great season last season. But he was only playing for, Fiorentina. He was only playing for them. He wasn't playing for Juventus, AC Milan or something. No, I want him to play with the big boys. And that's my position in regards to Callum. So, no, we do appreciate what Callum can do. But at the same time, we think that Callum may be better off elsewhere. In my opinion, on a loan.
Do anyone here think Callum has more, Reece James has more chance than Callum?
Boogeyman, I cut off DJ, so let DJ come in and then...
Yeah, I mean, all I'm basically going to say with the Callum situation, I think the one thing we know at the start, I think it was before the Champions League final. I think it was a Monday. There was a big breaking news going around saying that Thomas Tuchel was actually sat down. He's had a talk with Callum Hudson-Odoi. He's actually spoke to him and said to him, and it was true because it was true. And he actually said, "Look, you are part of my plans for the future. You are part of the plans. I want you to do. You can do well here." And to be fair, it's funny people mentioning other managers. I think this is the one manager I think that actually will give Callum his chance. Only because of Thomas Tuchel's track record. He loves giving youngsters a chance. And I think if you know from his Dortmund days, when he was the manager at Dortmund days, we saw all those youth players coming through from Dortmund and how he made them into what they are. I mean, I can say this. I think he'll do the same with this Chelsea youngster, with Callum Hudson-Odoi especially. He knows the guy's a talent. I think one of the things he said in his press conference when he first came to Chelsea was we all knew that a lot of the clubs in Germany wanted this boy, especially Bayern Munich. There was talk of Leipzig, I think, and Dortmund. There was those three main clubs that wanted him, so they were fully aware of him, of what a player he is. And I think this is the one manager I think that can give Callum this opportunity, and he can do well under him. I think we've got to remember we've got 5 competitions, guys, this season. We've obviously won one of them. Obviously, had 6. We've won one of them. We've got 5 to play. Callum will get his chance. And like we've all just addressed it, he just needs to take his chance. And I think he will take his chance. But again, if you think about the position he's been playing in at the moment, I think we all know here, he's not a right wing back. Yeah, he's not a right wing back. For me, he plays his best football coming in from that left-hand side as a left winger. We've seen him do that. We've seen him destroy defences. He's destroyed a lot of teams for that. If he gets that opportunity, I don't know whether Tuchel will give it to him. If Tuchel just thinks, okay, right wing back's his position, okay, he'll play him there. But it's when he gets that chance, I think personally he will take it. If not, I can see him probably being loaned out in January if he doesn't go. If he doesn't get his chance this for the remaining of this season, at least loan him out maybe in January and see where that goes. But for this season, at least until January, I would actually keep him around. I wouldn't loan him out because you just don't know. You know, the competition's coming up. I still think this guy will produce, and we just need to have more confidence in the guy. Because I really do. I think he's one of my favourite youngsters, and I think he can really, really still do well. He has a future at Chelsea.
The trouble with that, DJ, is I 100% agree with you. But for a top club like Chelsea, how much confidence do we show a player that is taking so much time to hit form? At what cost? Reece James comes on, he hits the ground running. Trevor Chalobah comes on, he hits the ground running. Christensen, he was a bit shaky. Tuchel comes, shapes him up. He's solid. These youngsters, we have them and they're doing things. Callum comes on and nothing. He can't keep doing that. That's just my only beat. I think he'll have chances. But if he doesn't...
Let's bring in Boogeyman, because Boogeyman was supposed to go on after DJ.
Sorry.
I know. When it comes to Callum, the question, I think Bobby just answered that question. I was going to ask you, since Tuchel was here, can anyone here will say that Reece James has more chance than Callum? Now, I think Callum started the first ever Tuchel game, and Reece James was sitting on the bench, if I remember properly. And then I think the second or the third one, then Reece James come back in. Because I think so. At the end of the day, it just comes down to Callum just taking his chances, and like Gigi also said at one point, even when Tuchel decided to play Callum in the wrong position, like wing back instead of in the left wing back or the right wing back or whatever the thing is, we know that Tuchel is the best to get best out of Callum. So if Callum is not playing, then I can only blame Callum at this point, because it seems like when you look at Tuchel, he's the one that should bring the best out of Callum. And
Boogeyman,
well,
I'm going to interrupt you. Why doesn't Tuchel play Hakim Ziyech as a right wing back? Why?
I can answer you that question really fast. Hakim Ziyech's physicality does not allow him to even intend to play him as a defender, because a wing back, you have to have some defensive attribute. Like look at it, he cannot play. It's just there.
Okay. It's not a position that Hakim Ziyech can play.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing can be said for Callum. That is not his position. Also, Callum is better played on the left than he is on the right, because Callum likes to cut in on his right foot and shoot. Okay, he likes to be out there on the left hand side rather than on the right hand side. He is better suited to the attacking style of play than he is in regards to the defending style of play. Now, I know Tuchel's system doesn't have any wingers. He has wing backs, but these are wingers. Hakim Ziyech is a winger, Pulisic is a winger, and Callum is a winger. Now, they are being incorporated into a system that doesn't really cater for their style of play. Therefore, if they are underachieving or underperforming, it is not really all their fault. Especially when we're talking about a youngster. Now, had Callum a couple of years ago been asked to play as a wing back and developed in that role, coming in to Tuchel's system, he would have been okay. Some players can actually do it quite easily. I mean, for example, if we look back at Moses is also a winger. He's not a right back, so a right wing back. But when Conte came in, he played him in that position, and he played well in that position. So some players can do it, but not all. And I think Callum.
You're right.
Really
you're actually right by saying that. But then I will say there might be some, like you gave the example of Moses. Moses has a physical condition. You can see he's a little physical. My problem with Callum at this point is the fact that I'm pretty sure for Tuchel to put Callum as a wing back, he has to do some training session and see that he has that potential to do it. Do Callum want to play wing back? That's another question. Maybe he'd rather play as a winger, and he's not really too much motivated to play as a wing back. That's why he's not really exploding and just make that position his. But I don't think that is Callum to decide at this point. As a professional, you play for a team, and whatever you have to do to beat is in the start 11, you just have to do it. Because we all say at the beginning, even Rob says something like that. We should not be worried too much about the profile of the player, but it's just what the player is bringing to the team. So if Tuchel think Callum is better used as a wing back, and even try many times the CP10, Christian Pulisic as a wing back, it just didn't work. We all noticed it, but for Callum, we know he can do it, but does he want to do it? So I cannot answer that question. But I just think Callum should take that opportunity just to improve, and whatever he's doing in the training for Tuchel to put it there, he just have to do that in the game and just make that position his. Because that seems to be the only position he can take to be in the start 11. So he just have to do it for me, anyways. And he's young also, so I don't see why he cannot.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think with me on that, on what you said, Boogeyman, I agree to what you're saying. Again, it's about it's also about the player himself and whether he's got the what do you call it, to say yes, I'll do that role. I get that. However, I'll also say another thing. Yeah, so mentality. Thanks, Mo. I'll also say another thing. If you're going to play Callum, if you yeah, the minerals, spot on, Bobby. Yeah, if you're going to play that position, right? If you're going to make Callum Hudson-Odoi the the right wing back, then at least put him as a left wing back, because we know he can come in from that left hand side as a left winger. Yeah, don't put him on the right, because we always know he's going to cut in on his left and then shoot. Yeah, we know that's what he's going to do. When you got him on the left side, okay, play him as a left wing back. If you're going to play, for example, I think he put the last time when him and Pulisic both played together. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but did he not put Pulisic on the left wing back and put Callum on the right wing back when they did play? I'd have probably said, okay, if you're going to do that play with two wingers, put them in their rightful position. Put Callum at least on the left wing back role, and maybe put Pulisic on the right wing back if you're going to play them as wing backs, which we know they're not. They're not. So for me, in that kind of like way, yeah, I guess it's the mentality thing. But if play Callum, but play him as a left wing back, but not as a right wing back, because I can tell you now, if he goes as a left wing back, I can see this guy being effective, even if he might not like the position, but I think he'll be more comfortable on that side, and he'll cut in more and he'll score goals more. He can cause more problems. But at the same time, as we said, he's also got as Biggie Man's also said, he's still young. He's realistically got to take on board what Tuchel wants. And if Tuchel's saying, look, son, you're only better to play on the right wing back, then that's where I'm going to put you, because that's where I can only see your position's going to be. But at the same time, we can't blame him either, because you never see Jadon Sancho, for example. I'll give Sancho an example. I don't think you ever see Jadon Sancho playing as a right wing back. Yeah, the guy's a right winger, and he's made his name for that. And look how talented he is. Look what a player he is. Callum is the same kind of player, but he's more obviously is a left winger. Play him in this position. That's all I'm basically saying. And I bet you if he does play him in this position, you'll get results out of it.
I not only play him in his position, but give him enough opportunity to play. Because I guarantee you, if he gets 3 games on the trot, you'll see a different Callum. But if he's playing 1 game and a half, 1 game start and then 1 game off the bench, what do you expect from the man? Listen, people, we are, I think, 1 like away. Yeah, we're 1 like away from 100. We're on 99 likes. So do us a favor, smack that like button. People, it's been 2 hours and 10 minutes already. Fantastic stream. Great stream. Big up to Rob for coming in and giving us his insight. I'm going to give each one of you a couple of minutes to give me your closing comments. And then I'll be streaming tomorrow, but I won't be streaming on Wednesday. But I'll be streaming tomorrow, so I'll be taking a break on Wednesday. We'll start with Bobby. Bobby, give me your closing comments, man.
Yeah, I mean, we have the makings of a great team, a very good team, a team that could rule Europe for a good number of years. We don't need to pull ourselves apart. We need to pull ourselves together. Callum comes into that bracket. We're all hoping and praying that he fulfills his potential. I think in my time watching football, I've seen far too many young men who looked good, ended up not being as good as we had hoped. I hope Callum doesn't fall into that. I don't think he will, and I think he can make it at Chelsea. I just think there's not much left to be added to this team, but we need to be careful how we add, and more importantly, we need to be extra careful how we subtract. This team can really be great, and let's just hope we make the right choices.
No, I agree. A bit of maths there for you. A bit of quick maths. Yeah. Big up, Bobby. Big up, Bobby. Thank you,
Bobby. Big up to you, Bobby.
Thank you for coming on.
Always,
Thank you for coming on, mate.
Take
care, brother.
Thanks,
I'll
man.
see you later.
Care, mate.
Cheers, Bobby. Thank you. Boogeyman, final thoughts, man.
Oh yes. Listen. For me, I would still say Tuchel is the best signing we have for the last 2 years, and whatever player we have in, he will find a way to use them. And then listen, today we talk about Callum. I would like Callum to succeed at Chelsea, and I just hope Tuchel find a way to get him to succeed here, because I can guarantee you that if that kid leaves Chelsea, we're going to regret it. I can see that. But just the fact that Chelsea is always about winning, how do we use them? It's just a complicated situation. But I hope that at least for the cup game, for all those other games we have, Callum can start playing as a winger, not too much as a wing back. I don't even want him to as a wing back anymore. Let him just use them. Like Gigi at one time suggested the comparison between him and Sancho. Sancho made his name as a winger. Just Callum in academy was a winger, so just give him that chance to show his worth as a winger. And if we have to buy a new wing back next season, I'm pretty sure if we win the league this season and win one more cup and even go after the Champions League, we have enough money to just buy a real winger. How do you call that again? Wing back. Oh, my mind is fucked at this one. Anyways. So we will have money to buy a proper win back. So let's just Carlo being the one, the next thing, and I want him to do that at Chelsea, not in any other league or anything. And then just struggling to bring him back out £200 million or whatever that thing is going to be. Let's just make sure Callum succeeds here. So on that note, I'll just
peace out, Boogeyman.
Yeah, thanks, Mo. Thanks, JJ.
Thank you, Boogeyman.
Take care, Boogeyman.
Appreciate you.
Sorry, you need to listen to that post-conference from Tuchel. I'm pretty sure you will know. You have to find that guy. That guy might be your twin brother or something, man.
I do have a brother, bro. I do have a brother. But he's older than me. Yeah, but he's not on that. He doesn't do that. Hey, man.
Boogeyman, what a character.
What a character.
Listen, some fantastic points. I'm serious.
Mate,
fantastic points by Boogeyman. The thing is, as a panel, we have a bit of everything, and that is what makes this panel so great. Diverse opinions. Everyone, it looks at things from a different perspective, different point of view, and everyone is prepared to challenge the views of the others, and that's great. That's great. So today has been a fantastic stream, DJ Sav. I think you've not lasted this long with your camera on my stream ever. So this is the record, mate. This is the record.
Oh, you know what it is? As I said, mate, I used my MacBook, you see, and I think the MacBook is so much better as I can see from. I should just use it more often when I'm doing your streams with you guys. But listen, Mo, as always, bro, love being on your show, mate. We have a great, as I keep saying, we have a great community. I call you guys family. It's great always being valid points. Obviously, Rob made some fantastic things today when he came on today about the transfers. Big up to him, by the way. I hope he comes back on the show again. Everyone else. As for Chelsea, mate, look, Boogeyman echoed it, mate, and I'll echo the same thing. Thomas Tuchel has been our best signing. I just hope to God, if things do get a little bit rough this season, Chelsea don't pull the plug on it like they always do and let us fans down, get rid of the manager when this guy doesn't deserve to go. He's won us already a Champions League, a Super Cup. We've got many more trophies to win, many more trophies this season, mate, and I can only see it being an upward projective, if you like, to go up and up and up for us. And mate, long continue. But as for this, generally, mate, I hope, again, if we're going to make any more signings this season, Koundé's been mentioned, obviously Rice, Tchouameni. If we don't get any of them in, it doesn't matter. We have a great team. We've got Chalobah now who's come up. So for me, mate, it's everyone in the comments as well. Big up to you all. As for you, Mo, again, thank you for having me on your stream, bro. And I'll see you on your next stream 100%. You take care and peace out to you, mate.
Looking forward to it. Take care, mate. Have a good night. Cheers,
you too, mate.
Cheers, DJ. Thank you. Guys, what a stream. 2 hours and 17 minutes. Fantastic. No, big up to you, mate. Big up to all of you. This stream was made by you guys. I mean, the comments, the questions, the interaction, you supporting the stream, hitting that like button, it all makes it worth doing. Listen, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who came on, especially to Rob. His presence on the stream, his insight, giving us his time. Rob is a great guy. He's a great guy with a lot of information, and he is always happy to share it with the fans. It's not easy to come on these shows, because normally journalists, they have their own bubble with their own TV shows, newspapers, magazines, and don't really step out of their comfort zone. Coming onto this show, speaking to you guys direct, it takes courage. And I want to say a big thank you to Rob for doing that. Hopefully he'll be back on. Hopefully, I'll get more people from the Chelsea socials to come onto my channel. They're a great bunch of guys, a great bunch of team, and they do a lot of good work in the Chelsea community. So hopefully, I'll get some more of them on this channel, guys. 11:20 in the evening. I need to get some shut eye. Big up to all of you, and I will see you all tomorrow. I'll be streaming again tomorrow. Good night, you all.